Good afternoon, Rotarians, friends, and guests. I'm Hannibal B. Johnson. It's my privilege as president to welcome you to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. It's spring, and that's the season of renewal. So allow me to quote the comedic genius Billy Crystal. He said, "What's so fascinating and frustrating and great about life is that you're constantly starting over all the time." And I love that. So for those of us who are inclined toward community service, Rotary offers us untold opportunities to make a new start, and as necessary to start over and over again. Make sure you're plugged in, engage with us, and be a difference maker. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment now to silence your cell phones. Thank you. And a special thanks to the bassoon trio from the Tulsa Symphony Orchestra for our pre-meeting musical interlude. Let's give them a round of applause. Let's begin our program with an invocation and pledge from past President Bob Sade.
I apologize if you can't hear me. I'm having a bit of an allergy problem. Reminds me of a friend of mine who was given a prayer at a meeting, and a fellow in the back hollered out, "I can't hear you." My friend answered, "I wasn't speaking to you." Made me realize there's only one entity that needs to hear what I have to say, but I ask you all to join in with me and listen. Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessing instilled in us that we may recognize the need for compassion and understanding towards our fellow man. Today, as we hear about our water well project in Nicaragua, we give thanks that there are those among us that have given so much of their time, talent, and treasure to help people most of us will never see. Guide us as we go through our daily lives to keep an ever-observant eye towards those wrongs that we can right, those ills that we can heal, and those misfortunes that we can help others overcome. Amen. We will not be singing today. There's no reason to compete with these folks, so we will go straight to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Bob. Now you're in for a real treat, a special performance from the Tulsa Symphony Orchestra's bassoon trio. The piece is Summertime. Thank you. That was exquisite. This next gentleman's career as a performing arts administrator has included stints with such prestigious organizations as the Boston Symphony Orchestra and the Eastman School of Music. Please help me welcome the new executive director of the Tulsa Symphony Orchestra, Keith Elder.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here today at another Rotary Club. I am a visiting Rotarian from Aspen, Colorado. I've been very involved in Rotary for over 10 years. And I think to start, once again, if we could just have another round of applause for these wonderful musicians of the Tulsa Symphony. You can have the opportunity to hear them again this weekend as they perform Rachmaninoff at the PAC. With their colleagues. I'm coming here from Aspen, Colorado, and coming here to an orchestra that is amazing. This community is so lucky to have this orchestra. As I was sitting here thinking about my years in Rotary and this orchestra, I think about community service and how this orchestra is so important to this community and how both Rotary and community service of this orchestra come together. I really look forward to moving here. I move here in July. I hope to become very involved with the club here, if you will have me coming here to Tulsa. It is, as we said earlier, beautiful weather here today. I just heard from Aspen that we're getting 1.5 feet of snow today. So I'd be happy to come to sunshine and 7,000 feet lower. I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to say how wonderful it is to have these great musicians, this great orchestra in town, and looking forward to previewing how we can all work together in striving for community service. The next season is a beautiful season just announced. You should be looking for that. It covers everything from pictures at an exhibition to Star Wars to Arlo Guthrie. So there's a little bit there that I think everybody in this room can latch onto, and so hope to see everybody at concerts, and I really look forward to becoming part of this wonderful club. So, thank you, President.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you, Tulsa Symphony Orchestra musicians, for that wonderful performance. Mahatma Gandhi said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others," and that quote rings true for members of the Rotary Club of Tulsa. Service lies at the heart of who we are as Rotarians. We identify community needs and match them with resources, building relationships and solving problems all along the way. Since its inception in 1972, the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation has invested close to $6 million in Tulsa area community projects and initiatives. Let's take a moment to hear from two of this year's grant recipients. Please help me welcome past President Ed Monette and Sheena Graywall.
Our club and our foundation has had a long-term relationship with Neighbor for Neighbor. Recently, we made a gift of $17,000 to Neighbor for Neighbor, and I have with me Diana Diaz, the executive director, who's going to tell you a little bit about the gift and Neighbor for Neighbor.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm so pleased to be here, and we're so honored to have your help and your support constantly at Neighbor for Neighbor. Neighbor for Neighbor is 50 years old plus, and we've been in the community on the north side, although we do service people throughout our community in every way that we can, most recently helping the homeless. In our help and our strive to do this, we have 10 different departments. We have a legal department, which does a lot of guardianships for the problems that we're having. And then we have a pantry, we have the medical, we have optical that helps with eyeglasses, a lot of different departments that does so many things. But one of the things that I wanted to really point out is the pantry. It helps us to offer food to the needy, to the poor, to the homeless, in so many different ways, various ways. Sometimes we take it to them, but mostly in our pantry. We've made it like a little store where they can come in, they get a voucher as they check in, and then that way they can, it keeps the dignity in it, and they can shop. And the problem we were having is that our coolers outside in the pantry had gone down. No cooler, no freezer, no food. So Rotary came to the rescue, and this is where our money's going. And it goes for the electricians to install it and the 6 men that's going to take it to remove it and put a new one in. But we can strive forward in our efforts to help the poor in so many different ways. And we thank you because you're a big way that we do it. Your support is really wanted, needed, and loved. We love you so much. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm a little short, so I'll put that down. So we were so happy to help with the reopening of the ropes course. That's North on Prairie as well. I'll let Sarah Guardiola, the CEO, explain the new name because it's kind of long and it has a couple different parts. The grant, in partnership with PSO, was to replace their lighting system so that the indoor facilities can be actually used. I'm going to play a little audio clip here to show what they've been dealing with every day until this grant came through. So that was like the inside of the building, and every time you flipped the lights on, that would come on, which was limiting the use.
Challenging. Okay, so she promised that she would start singing when my 2 minutes was up, but it's really hard to explain our name without giving you some context. But first, for those of you who are wondering, yes, I am Jessie Guardiola's wife, who is a fellow Rotarian here, so we'll get that out of the way. To provide some context for our name, and I'm going to say the whole thing, it is Skyway Leadership Institute, which I'm the CEO of, home of TPAL at the amazing Helmsar Challenge course. So, really quick, there's a quote that I feel like I really need to share with you because it's so poignant for the work that you guys do here. So, in the 1960s, Margaret Mead, who was a renowned author, said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." So here's how we began this long journey very shortly. 2014, when Ferguson happened, it rocked our sensibilities and our understanding of what race relations was really about. And we had concerned citizens from this club who took it upon themselves to begin exploring, what does it look like here in Tulsa with police and interaction? Not only did they have town halls and focus groups, but they went all the way to meet with the citizens that went through that original pain. And they decided, we need to come up with something that works, that's effective. And so in 2015, the Community Trust Champions was born, and it was created by Rotarians in this building. Okay, so very quickly, what it is, it's so unique in that it brings young people and police officers together at the challenge course for experiential learning. But here's what's really cool. At the beginning of the day, these young people have a chance to ask the officers some really hard questions. We've heard things such as, why do you always take my parents away? Excuse me. I'm losing time here. These kids are precious. I've been taught to hate you, and I don't trust you. And so what happens is these young people, after that period of time, the officers go and change into their civvies and spend the rest of the day at the challenge course with these young people. But they're there as participants, not as an authority figure. And together they are working through challenges and barriers and finding fantastic pathways around them because we're intentionally frustrating them there. And at the end of the day, together they go up into the highs of the challenge course. And what's so neat, and is what you would expect, these young people then begin to have a different perspective, and they clamor to have this officer or that officer be on their team. But here's what's really cool. At the end of the day, our officers begin to view these children in a different light. What they thought was a bad kid because of the work they do out in the field, they're realizing that bad behavior was actually excessive trauma being expressed in behavior which they had no control over based on the circumstances that they were brought into. And so as we work through that, we come to 2019, and that's when Skyway Leadership Institute was created. And it is under the umbrella of the Community Trust Champions. And yes, we still run that program. But here's what's really neat, and what makes us unique in all of the United States is that we are partnered strategically with the Tulsa Police Athletic League. And their new effort to reach out to the youth is making a significant impact, and they're doing it from Skyway. And what's really fun about this is your 2019 Officer of the Year, Kara Rogers, is our director of TPAL. So you chose well, I'm just gonna say. But finally, I just wanna let you know that what we offer as Skyway to TPAL and to any of the other programs is we are able to statistically show that it is possible to increase hope, develop leadership, and most importantly to the police and TPAL, trust. So we intentionally challenge perceptions, in this case, youth and police, of what is and is not possible. And what is possible is to increase hope and increase trust. So, in conclusion, am I doing okay? Okay. In conclusion, let me just say thank you. You are Tulsa's thoughtful, oh, wait, hold on. You have to understand, it goes along with the quote. You are Tulsa's thoughtful and committed citizens, and your donation allows us to collectively change our community together. So Skyway, home of TPAL, at the amazing Helms Art Challenge course, thanks you. We are so appreciative. Thank you.
Neighbor for Neighbor and Tulsa Police Activity League, these are organizations that do really great work. Your grant signifies our investment in your efforts to improve the quality of life here in Tulsa for all Tulsans. The Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation also helps support international projects. Our Nicaragua water well drilling project illustrates the scope and the magnitude of our international work. Since the program began in 2002, we've drilled over 500 water wells, providing potable water, enhancing countless lives in Nicaragua. You're about to hear from a passionate Rotarian who has served on the Nicaragua Water Well Committee for 17 years, making 15 trips to Nicaragua. He's a Paul Harris Fellow, Club Foundation Fellow, MSNI Ambassador, and 2008 Rotarian of the Year. Please help me welcome retired District Judge David Peterson.
Thank you, Hannibal. It's a pleasure for me to be here. We've been made aware of the fact that we have many new Rotarians that don't know what we do, and many old Rotarians that like to be posted up to date. I'd like to thank my co-chairman, Ben Wyndham, who does much more work than I do, Brenda Melancon, who tries to keep me out of trouble. And we've had lots of photographs taken that we use from Tina and Tom Payne and Rotarian McGlumphy. He's taken a lot of pictures, some of which we'll be using here today. On your tables you have brochures, and you also have some note cards. The Own a Well program is how we primarily finance the work you do. It's a big project, takes a lot of money. And I know that some of you have read and watched on the news the problems we have in Nicaragua now. Daniel Ortega and his wife, who was First Lady, is now First Lady and Vice President, are in their third term of a 2-year maximum by Constitution, but when the Constitution doesn't work out, then you just get new Supreme Court judges. They came up with a plan to raise Social Security benefits, not benefits, but what you would pay in by 10% and lower the benefits by 40%. This caused a lot of protesting. Protesters were then tear gassed. Protesters started throwing rocks. Police started shooting back with rubber bullets. Protesters escalated. Real bullets came about. We now have over 300 people dead in Nicaragua. We have some of our Rotaracks who are college students who have had to escape to Costa Rica. and we were unable to drill right after we left in February of 2018. In May, this all happened and is still going on. We were unable to drill our normal 30, 35 wells a year. We got 21 because we basically had to hunker down. We couldn't get on the roads because of the barricades and everything. That is now not the situation. We are actively drilling. The roads have been cleared up. It's mainly not because of peace, it's because it's against the law to even say or hold up a sign, you'd be in jail. So we monitor that daily. We haven't been able to go this year because it's State Department level 3, which means don't come, don't have any protection. So, but our drillers, who you'll meet here, are still drilling. You'll see a lot of new paint on some of our equipment because the 2 months we couldn't drill, we kept them working, maintaining the equipment, getting ready, and improving what we do there. We'll see if I can do a PowerPoint. There we go. This is our rig and compressor. You can see they don't come in rotary colors, but these are now rotary colors. We drill and we use the compressed air to blow the shavings out. There's another picture with a well being actively drilled. That shows the rig up. It comes down, goes up where we drill. We also, there's your rotary symbol that they do a pretty good job of, and then they've got a symbol in Leon, our companion Rotary Club, Leon, Nicaragua. They've developed a symbol for the water well project, and those are on all the trucks. And then we have kind of normal little wells that come in. They look about like that when they hit water, and then once in a while we hit big water, and that's about the biggest one I've ever seen. And then what they do, this is an invention of Mr. Wyndham, my co-chair. They'll take a picture after the well is cased, but before the pump is mounted on it, and then this whiteboard tells us where the well is, how many houses it helped, how many people live in those houses, and that way we can keep track of what's being drilled, what progress we're making, and how many people we're helping. We're up to about 535 wells now, so we've helped thousands, maybe a couple 100,000 of people, because if they don't have water, or the water is bad, or they have to go 3 miles to get water, and Jerry Barrientos will follow me and explain all that to you. It keeps them from being in school and other things like that, and the water that they get is not good. Have 3 kinds of pump system. This is a rope pump. Doesn't require any electricity or anything else. It works real well. A lot of the wells that we drill get 10 gallons a minute if you just have to crank it. It's pumped from the other side. You can see the handle. Some of them actually have handles on both sides. Now there's a little tile in the front there, and it identifies this as a rotary project. It says Tulsa, Leon. Sometimes it says Tulsa, Leon, because we have a Houston district that's our partners, and they'll say Texas too. So they've done some wells, but Tulsa's first, Leon second, and Texas help occasionally, yeah. There's an old picture of ours, a woman cranking a well. Now you can see why we like this picture is when we drilled there, they were all living in just black plastic houses. Now you see a house that's cinder block with a tin roof and a cement floor. And if we could blow this picture up enough, I was there taking this picture. You can see some chickens, you can see some vegetables, you can see some fruit trees starting to grow. At 3 or 4 or 5 years after, you see the progress from just squatting. There's another one there showing women. It's hard to see a little bit, but that's an electric pump. And so the electric pumps are either powered by generators, because they very seldom have electricity anywhere they live, or there's a pole there they might have electricity, but it's hard to pay for. So generally speaking, those wells will be open like from 4 to 6 in the afternoon. People can come get water from a lot shorter distance, sometimes just right there. Sometimes we work a lot with the mayors of these little villages, and they have been able to provide fuel for us. Sometimes they also have the ability to get the government to do a water tank and provide the electric pump, and we'll pump it up there, and then they can send it out a lot further distance in pipes that they dig by hand and lay the PVC so we can distribute further. So that's basically the 3 levels. It's a typical house in Nicaragua where we drill. There's another one, just plastic under a tree held up by, and you can have 4 or 5 people living there. They sleep on the ground. This is our mechanic, Juan. He used to do our mechanic work in Leon. He wanted steadier income, and we wanted less money paid out to him, so he's now our truck driver, mechanic, and everything else. It worked better for him, and it worked cheaper for us because he's got all the tools. He's overhauling our air compressor there. And then sometimes things really break. We have virtually overhauled motors that he's done in both of our big trucks and the air compressor. Schools are important to us. We have wells at hospitals and schools, and a lot of the times the schools are right next to little communities. And so if we can help the kids have water at school, and then they or the parents can come and get it, that's great. Here's another school. Kids lined up, probably for pop suckers and stuff like that we hand out, much to the consternation of the photographers, but they do. And you'll notice attached to that, if that school extended out, there's a pump up in a tower at that same school. So the schools tend to be the central place of a lot of the locations, and so the water is right there. There's a bunch of Rotarians, both Nicaraguan Rotarians and us, taking picture. We've learned a lot from them. They've learned a lot from us. I just want you to know that due to the generosity of this club, you're helping people be better. When they get water, they think it's the greatest thing they've ever had. They're able to do things that they couldn't do. We're saving the lives, especially of little babies who don't have the antibodies yet to withstand the bad water. And so I hope you're all proud. I'm proud of what we're doing there as a club, and like to thank you all very much. On our last trip, our newest person to go down was Jerry Barrientos, and she learned a lot, I think. She also did some crazy things. She won't tell you that she had to go to a chiropractor when she came back, but I'll tell you. Jerry.
I'm going to keep my presentation short. I really wanted to share some specific family situations that we ran into, because you guys hear about the wells, and a lot of people say, well, don't you just go down there and ride on the bus and just check out all these wells? Well, yes, we do that, but there's so much more to it. There's so much more to it. You know, my personal motto is to make a difference in someone's life every single day, and we went down there, and they were making more of a difference than I felt like I was giving to them. So just to give you a couple of stories real quick, and I'm going to do a quick demonstration. So first we have, my two favorite places that we visited were the orphanage and the hospital. Of course, I love kids. So, Cheryl that handles this orphanage, she's actually from Tennessee, and she actually drop these kids off at the front of her doorstep. She picks them up from the hospitals with absolutely nothing. She is so brave. She took 9 of these kids last Christmas back to Tennessee with her by herself, and I believe 2 of them were in a wheelchair. So, I mean, she's absolutely amazing. There's also, of course, Linda's phone was stolen by one of the children. I thought she was going to come after her. Sorry, I had to include that one. And then also the hospital, Judge's granddaughter, she brought several gifts to give away at the hospital to the children. They absolutely loved it. Rotaract has a very strong presence there. Judge was able to bring in a lot of the Rotaractors, which is a very great experience in itself. I'm going to kind of go through these real quick because I want to get to the demonstration, but you can see that people were still, they use the clean water for their drinking water, but they still walk 3 to 6 miles one way to go fishing, wash their clothes, gather water just to wash their houses, because a lot of them are actually pretty clean, comparatively speaking. So you can see they all do that in the same place. The next 2 families hit me really hard, so I'd rather probably save those and do the demonstration because I don't want to cry in front of everyone, but I can tell you this cardboard box changed this kid's life. You can see I was taking pictures out of the back of the bus because it really changed my life, had a pretty big impact. This family, I'm just going to kind of skip over this because it's very sentimental, but you can see everything in her house was from the dump. Her house is made out of trash bags. Very special family. Single mom with 3 kids. She goes to work every single day, has to leave her kids at home. Because of the water, she is able to actually get her kids back into school and instead of having to carry water every day. So we went the whole week, just real quick, and again, all these families made huge impacts in my life, but we got to the end of the week and I was like, well, what's this really about? I mean, yes, we see all these wells, and so I want to see what it was like to actually walk in mile in their shoes. You always hear people say, well, what does it feel like to walk a mile in my shoes? And I hadn't ever heard of anyone carrying buckets on their heads, so I gathered up a volunteer to actually put, Judge, we were working for the Rotarians that day, for the Nicaraguans that day. Judge was pouring the water, and as you can see, they showed me how to lift the bucket on top of my head, and you can see that we walked all the way across the field. Even though they have access to clean drinking water, they still have a long ways to walk. They still have to get to their homes in the villages as they continue to expand their villages. So instead of Sarge raising money today, so we're going to find a way to make some money. Who will donate $10 for every step he takes? Anyone? Woohoo! Okay. So the way that so they had to teach me how to put this 40-pound bucket on top of my head. So first you have to you did sign your waiver, right? Yes. So I did get an attorney to do this. He said he's been working out, so we need to make at least $10 for every step he takes. So first you have to put it on your knee, and then you have to grab it. So if you put this hand down here, Daniel, I'm going to switch you around a little bit, and then you're going to put it on your shoulder next. It's a little heavy, and he even works out. Okay, let's switch your hands around one more time. We're going to put this hand down here. There you go. Now you're going to put it on top of your head. Don't drop it. If you drop it, you clean it. Okay, everyone help me count steps. Let's go, Sarge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 25, 27, 30, 35, 36, 37. Let's give Sarge a hand. 40 steps. Thank you. Thank you. Oops, sorry, Sarge, forgot to tell you how to take it off. Just don't dump it, please. Just one follow-up note is, you know, when we were going back to the airport and I seen all this water as we were pulling up, and again, I can't tell you how much, unless you've been there, you can't really, you know, it's hard to imagine. You know, I've been in this club since 2005, and until I actually went there and actually carried the bucket on my head, that's when I really, really appreciated what we do and why we do it for our people. So, but going back to the airport again, seeing all that water there, I was just like, wow. I mean, I've never looked at water the same. I'll never look at water the same again. So, thank you for giving me this experience.
Thanks, Judge Peterson, and thanks, Jerry. We're changing lives and we're bringing hope to Nicaragua. Thank you all for making a difference through your contributions. At this time, please help me welcome our extraordinary President-elect, Becky Fields, for a special presentation.
Wow, Jerry, my heart is still racing. What a great presentation. Judge and Jerry, you guys are doing great work. And I love Sarah's quote from earlier, that a small committed group, and I see you guys in your committee in that small committed group, and that's what you are. And you're doing big things in the world and changing lives, and it's amazing. One thing that we're going to do today is super exciting. We have never done this in the history of Rotary, or at least in my recent recollection, which could have been yesterday, so we're going with it. So, as you know, every year we have a fireside chat. And for those of you who are guests here today or who are new Rotarians, a fireside chat is just a way for our big club to get broken down into small groups. Once a year, we go to a fellow Rotarian's home, and we just have dinner together, and we talk about Rotary and the things that we're doing. And it's also a way to help people get to know each other, but then also the incoming president gets to pose some questions to the club and say, hey, what's going on? What's the heartbeat of the club? What do you guys think we need to be working on? What new initiatives do we need to be taking on? And so this year, the Fireside Committee came to President Hannibal and myself and said, you know, we really would like to be able to involve the entire club, because a lot of times people can't get out in the evening for those visits, and we do have a lot of social activities. So you're a captive audience here today. So you get to participate in a fireside, the very first fireside chat at the Rotary Club of Tulsa, and if you like it, we can do it again next year, and if not, we'll change it up again. Who knows? But we're willing to try new things because we have a big vision, not just for Tulsa, but obviously for the world and for those community partners that we work with on a daily basis here in Tulsa. So one thing is that we know in our club and we know around the world that we're all struggling with maintaining a thriving membership in just with everything that's going on in the world. People have a lot of choices, and there are a lot of things that are distracting people from joining the Rotary Club of Tulsa or staying in the Rotary Club of Tulsa. So I think that, going back to Sarah's quote, we are the small committed group. But as you see, we have big, big things that we do in the world, and we cannot remain a small group and continue to dream as big as we dream. I've talked to you guys, a lot of you, over this past year as being president-elect, and you have no shortage of big dreams. So we need more people like you. I also believe that you cannot start a movement unless you know who is in it. You can't start a movement unless you know who's in it. So I came up with a list of 4 questions today that are just on my heart that I would love to hear back from you all and just get your input as we go forward into our new year about things that we can look at maybe differently or things that we can elevate, whatever those ideas are. So if you're ready, say I'm ready. Okay, good. So I need one person at each table. The person who has the most blue on at the table, would you look around and identify that person? The person with the most blue on. Would you please stand up? Don't be shy. Go ahead and stand. We're in a room full of leaders. We're in a room full of leaders. Thank you so much for volunteering to be the team leader. I appreciate it. So, you are the fearless team leader for your table today. When I say go, and not before, when I say go, let's listen to all the instructions so you know what to do. You'll pick up the envelope on your table, and you'll pass a paper to everyone at your table. You'll also get to choose a scribe at your table. Now, when I say go, you early achievers, so you'll choose a scribe to write one concise
note to me. Now, all of you have papers, so if you want to scribble your own notes and give those to me later too, but I'd love one from each table to turn in. And what I'd really love the team leaders to do, we have 4 questions and they're big. So I'm going to let you know every 5 minutes, and team leaders, will you help just kind of move people along, because we're going to have a lot of ideas, but you're just going to have a short amount of time. So I'll let you know when 5 minutes, please move people along, and your goal is to make sure everyone gets to be heard as well. There are no right or wrong answers. I really do want to know your honest opinion, okay? So I would love just to have your honest feedback on these. We need it to help make us better and to help us stronger. So if you're ready, say I'm ready. All right, and go.
I hate to break up our robust tabletop discussions. We appreciate your engagement in this fireside chat. Please leave your responses in the envelopes that are on your tables. Please leave your responses in the envelopes that are on your tables. Please note also that there are note card bundles on your tables with Nicaragua photographs. These may be taken for a small donation. If you want to make a donation and take those with you, please feel free to do so. Just a couple of announcements and closing remarks. We want to thank our sponsors, Terracon Inc., Mike Holman and Cliff Johnson, Interim Healthcare, Terry Heritage, TTCU, Tim Lyons. TPAL committee will meet in room 233 following this meeting. Thirsty Thursday will be held on April 18th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Medical Supply Warehouse. This is a social and a service event. Food and drinks will be provided. Special thanks to Brenda Melancon for sponsoring. Sign-up sheets are on your tables. The Rotary Club of Tulsa will host an exchange student. 3 host families are needed from August 2019 through June 2020. If you're interested, please contact Tricia Kirkstra or Duff Weddle. Rotaract needs volunteers for Junior Achievement Finance Park on Monday, April 22nd from 8:15 to 1:15. If you're interested in volunteering, please contact Jonathan Slay. April 17th, our speaker will be Dr. Madeline Manning Mims, famed Olympian. April 24th, Oklahoma University women's basketball coach Sherry Cole will be in the house. A book recognizing today's program will be presented to our partner in education school, Celia Clinton Elementary School. This week's book is How to Catch the Easter Bunny. So let's not lose sight of that grand Rotary International vision. Together we see a world where people unite, take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Thank you, and we are adjourned.